Hello developers, let's start developing. I'm gonna say hi to you from the lovely Big Belgrade where I'm for a conference. I will have my lecture tomorrow at the Synergia conference, but in the meantime, let's see what we actually get to do for the day 3 of the 2024 Advent of Code. First time that I'm seeing this task, but people told me that it's quite easy, so we'll see how it goes. So our computers are having issues, of course, they are computers. If we have any chief historians in stock, toboggan rental show. Okay. Run a program, but its memory is corrupted. Let's see what the input is. Oh, yeah, this sounds weird. We might have some issues. Go and multiply some numbers. It does that with instruction like mul xy, where x and y are each 1 to 3 digit numbers. Mul multiplies. Oh, we might actually need to actually parse some memory. Maybe not for this task, parse some instructions. Maybe not for this task, but I do have a feeling that this will come around again. Should be ignored. Sequences like do nothing. Aha, so we need to scan our memory. Let me just take this and paste it in the input to see if I'm correct. No, these are multiple lines. I thought that we would have a single line of input. But yeah, we do have multiple lines, which we will need to do them all over again. So this is our first thingy. So now this task kinda screams a regex to me. And I have one principle that I hold very near and dear, is that you never write regexes in code. The only way to write regexes is to write them out in a regex editor, something like this, where it will help you, where you can test it, when you can play around with it, and then you only paste it in your program. Because each time that I think that no, I know regex is enough and I will actually do them inside the code, it's just a star, I'm just adding something else, I made a mess. So never write regexes in your code, just paste them. And rule number 2 for experts: if you think that you know regex is enough to write them directly in your code, you don't. So, what we need to find now is basically a mul followed by a literal open parenthesis followed by some numbers which can be from 1 to 3 followed by a comma, because as I understand this is also an invalid instruction. Yeah, followed immediately but by a digit that is also going to be from 1 to 3 places long, followed by a literal closing parenthesis. So something like this. Of course, we will need to do the mode when we are getting all the matches. So let's try that. What will our code will be? Well, our code in this case actually takes a string array, so we're just reading the lines and returning the lines. That's all we have. And now we will just, yeah, we will have something like result equals 0, return result, and now for of each line of the input. Yeah, this part is trivial. Let's just see that we are actually reading the input correctly. Because a lot of the times, if you're not reading the input correctly, like for example, if you didn't save the file, you will get nonsensical results. Yeah, so we have this. I will take this regex. So this is the regex that I will use. What flags do I need? So these are the global and yeah, we don't really need multi-line and that like that, but we definitely need it to be global. And now I will say line dot match on this regular expression, and then I will just console log that. Let's see if we get the 4 matches. Match number 1, match number 2, match number 3, match number 4. Now, seems that it would be useful to get out the numbers, the 2 and the 4, the 5 and the 5, the 11 and the 8, and so on. So let's change our regex here so that we can actually get that. So I will say you are an actual group that I want to extract, and you are also another actual group that I want to extract, and we have that now. Of course, copy, paste the regex. I think this should be exactly the same, but now if we just say const matches is this, and now we just do a for of on match of matches. For each of the matches we are, yeah, technically it can be null, which means that it makes sense to add some code. If this line has nothing like that, then we're just continuing, which means that our regex was matched 0 times. It wasn't matched. And now we have a match, which is a string. Oh, we might need to say matches dot groups. And our group is yeah, let's just console log this. That's weird. Oh, yeah, that's wrong. The match is a regex match array, so the match is a string. I might not be quite sure how to do this in C# because I might have forgotten about it. And the groups actually are just a key of string to string. When in doubt, see what's happening. It's undefined, and I don't want it to be undefined. Maybe we can do test. We can do the other way around. That returns a boolean, and if we do exec, this returns a exec array. Maybe that this is what we need. Or null. and then the matches has something else. I think the data is a bit different. Yes, this was exactly what we wanted because we're getting something a bit on the different side. But this I think has a weird syntax that it will always match only the first thing, so it doesn't make sense to be global, but then we can redo that. So here I will have to say while match is not null, do something, and at the very end, so we will have something like a loop and a half, and the match will need to be re-exact, which means we don't need this, but we will do this. So while the match is not null, we will just execute again and again and again and again. So you can see here we are getting 2 and 4, 5 and 5, and all of the things. So now we can basically just, this will be the last line, and the match of 1. Yeah, the match of 0 is the actual full match, which we don't need. The match of 0 is the first group extracted, the match of 1 is the first group extracted, match of 2 is the second group extracted. So we can say first is this, and we're just gonna transfer it to a number. So this will make it from a string to a number, or we can do parseInt. Yeah, let's do that. So we will, if we get some nans, we will see what is going on. So we have our first, our second, and we add the multiplication of the first and the second to the result. And we return the result. So let's see if this thing happens. We got a result of 161, and we were supposed to get a result of 161. So we need to go through everything, not console logging the matches, find all the things. Maybe it makes sense to actually do this. Mul, 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 those are the muls that we have. And now let's try this on the whole input. So the task itself is relatively simple, relatively straightforward. The tricky part is actually working with regex expressions, and the syntax for that is different in all of the languages, but sometimes it's always tricky. But check what the syntax is, check how you do it, try it a few times, and if it works, it works, and let's see if it works. Yes, that's the right answer, our 5th gold star for this year. Let's see. And I fully expect the second part to be kind of weird. Some of the conditional statements are also still intact. 2 new instructions, the do instruction, the don't instruction, only the most recent. So they are enabled, and then if we have don't, they are disabled, and then if we have do, they are enabled again. Yep. So enabled, disabled, disabled. It's enabled. This one is enabled. Disable instruction. This one is disabled. This one is invalid. Is it the same example? Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. So this one is also disabled. This is enable instruction, and this is enable. So we need to make sure to track the state. So this means that I would like to use a single regex, because if we have a single regex, we can have three regexes that match this thing. But if we do three regexes, we will need to track the index. What is the current state? I'll try to have a single regex which returns everything, especially from what I see. Basically, these are relatively simple instructions that can only take a single form. So we have a do instruction, and of course this is a literal open parenthesis and is a literal close parenthesis, and we have a don't instruction, which is also literal, also literal. So in our initial case, we don't have those cases, but in our chained input, I think we have both an example of a do and a don't. So now we have the first match, then we have a don't match, then we have a mul match. And of course, I would like to also extract this now. So in the first case, I'm extracting mul to 4. In the second case, I'm only extracting do. And in the third case, I'm only extracting don't. And this is a very, very good reason and a very, very good illustration of why you don't write regexes in code. Because this was a relatively simple regex that we were able to read and able to understand when we initially started with it. But look at it now. I don't think that anybody will just get this. Look at this and say, oh, this is a regex that. Whoever looks at this will have to say, wait a second, I'll need to think about it. Yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, we have the three options, and then you think about the options, and then you get that they're quite simple, but it will take some time for anybody. So never write regexes in code, only paste them. So we will say enabled. It's true. And of course, it's not explicitly stated, but I will assume that since the only most recent do applies, if we have three do, then it stays enabled. If we have three don't, it stays disabled. So how do we do that? Let's just make sure that we don't really have some weird case where we have a do on the end of the line. No, the line ends with something like, well, what I'm considering is if this counts. We have a do, the here, and a o here. Is this a do or isn't it? I'm treating it like it's not, but on the good end, we don't have that case in the data. It's always best if you don't have a case in the data. I mean, if you can prove that whatever the tricky case is, it doesn't actually exist because of business reasons, and in this case our business reason is it's not in the input data, and we have code that only needs to work for the input data. So now we're gonna have the exact same logic up to here. Now here we will have three options for the second for the first match, and this will be the second and the third match. Don't forget that. And let's just get the proper input so we can check whether we get 48 for this result. So we have made a match, and now we can just say if the match of not of one, oh yeah, let's just console log the match. No, not match of 0, just the match. Because some matching engines kinda drift off on the matching groups. Let's see how they count them. And I made a stupid in endless loop because I didn't include this line that we get the next match. So see what happens. These are counted continuously. So one engine said this will have 3 matching groups because it's an option, and this will be have only one. But no, actually mul is only the first matching group, don't is only the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th matching group, and do is the 4th matching group. So what we actually need to do, we're gonna write some bad code that will work. So the 4th match is either undefined or do. So if it's defined and it's do, then our enable thing is true, and then we rematch and continue. Otherwise, if the 5th match is don't, then we just set enable to false. Otherwise, and I will separate this, if we are enabled, we will take the second and the third match. We don't actually need to match mul, but because those are the 3 options. If we don't have a do, if we don't have a don't, if we don't add it, then we need to have a mul. So we can check it, but we don't really have to. And if it's enabled, we're gonna add that. If it's disabled, we're just gonna skip it, and we're gonna exit and get the next match. This is weird, but let's hope it works. 48. Yep, we got 48. Let's get our input again. Since we were playing around with it, I don't want to jinx it. So we have our 6 lines, and let's start our code now. The first part stays exactly the same. So we have the proper input at the very least. 705, 705. And the second part with the weird regex, we got this number. Maybe it's correct? Yes, it is. So we have our 6th star, and this is getting to be beautiful. So don't forget to mash all those buttons below. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow as well. By the way, tomorrow I do have a busy day, so I'm not sure if I'll make it on time, so the schedule can be a bit different. However, keep developing.